it's always a greater pleasure to introduce women than men. So the next session is for power women. Zoya Akhtar, Reema Kagti Anusha Rizvi, three women who are very young and whose cinema and films are changing the idiom of Bollywood in many, many different ways. What about them? What about their vision? What about their particular way of looking at the world has made their cinema so different? Why is it that they choose to break the molds of Bollywood in the way that they do? And how do they see Bollywood developing in the years to come? To discuss all this and how the cats have got their tongue, I think they disapprove of the session name, we have Nidhi Razdan, Senior Editor of NDTV and Anchor of Left, Right, Center. Please welcome the four women.
It was very, very clear that the camera will remain a spectator. We really want to have faces that you would never see on celluloid.
People can't tell you what kind of movies to make. You just gotta do what comes to you. I'm not afraid to be honest. If you don't put yourself in there, your work cannot be different.
What may be a little different in terms of me as a woman is my understanding and perception of real women.
Oh, I hate marketing. I hate marketing, yes.
It's difficult to sell things that are a bit alternative.
They don't care for talent. They only care if you make money. In a creative industry, that's death.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to talk to three incredible women filmmakers, one of whom happens to be a former colleague of mine at NDTV. So Anusha, it's nice to see you again after all these years. And Shoma's, of course, introduced them and their work. I want to begin with Reema. You know, everyone says this is the best time for women filmmakers in Bollywood. Do you think so? And if so, why?
You know, I think this is the best time for filmmaking in India. It applies to both men and women. You know, because of, I think, the changing markets with multiplexes coming in, the business of film is changing. It's, I think, kind of opened out in terms of the content of films, you know, the kind of content you can explore, the kind of support you will get from producers. The situation is really good now. It wasn't like that 5 or 10 years ago, you know.
So, you know, what's interesting about all of you is that maybe it's a stereotype, but often women filmmakers in the past, you know, despite whatever kind of great work they did, were often stereotyped as doing art films or women-oriented films. They were not seen as mainstream commercial films. And all of you have broken that by doing mainstream commercial masala cinema with mainstream heroes, as it were. Is that what you think has changed?
Yes and no. I grew up, I was born in the 70s. Sai Pranjpe was a filmmaker and she made the quintessential boys film, Chashme Badur. And it did very well. And yes, it was part of the new wave, and so to speak. And I think that kind of distinction screwed it up a bit. But Farah Khan is very commercial, a hugely successful filmmaker. But I don't think any one of us really have made masala movies. Yeah, if you have to put it in that bracket.
Yes,
Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara is a dude film.
It's film.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's got 3 men, and I don't know how that would be if it had 3 women. I know for a fact that I wouldn't have gotten that budget. So,
yeah, probably.
It's basically not about.
And it would have been called a chick flick.
It would have been called a chick flick.
Yeah.
The thing is not filmmakers. I think it's very easy now for women, and I think it's been, just as trivia, the first Indian female filmmaker was Fatima Begum. She made a film in 1926. She was an actress, and she made the first feature film in India was made in 1926. So I think that that's not the problem. I mean, there's a bigger issue regarding women and cinema in India, and I think it's why are more women's stories not funded? Why are actresses why do they have a shorter shelf life? Why does the audience not go in to watch them? You know, our leading men today have had 2 decades of being heroes, and they've been through 4 generations of actresses.
Yeah, they might be 50, but they're dancing with a 20-year-old.
I think that's the bigger issue. I think women are finding it very easy to make films. Her script actually is very off the beaten path, and she got it made, yeah.
So what about your own personal experiences, Anusha? I mean, I've often been asked as a reporter for the last 15 years whether as a woman, and you've been in journalism as well, whether that made a difference. I don't think it really did. Do you think it made a difference the way your unit worked with you, the way your male stars worked with you, the fact that you were a woman? Did it make a difference?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think what Zoya was trying to say is that because you are a director, you are the boss on the unit, right? So even if you have 200 men working under you, you are still the boss. So the question that you're asking me actually should be asked of those women who are perhaps not in a position of power or are ADs or a much younger lot. Having said that, it's also true for the rest of the world, isn't it? So it's not as if that, you know, one is dealing with these gender equations only in the industry. You are also dealing with them outside. So you're conditioned to do it.
But Reema, let's talk more about the way, you know, women filmmakers have changed in terms of the subjects that they're touching upon. I mean, you're doing another sort of masala mainstream film, Amir Khan, Talash. You know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, a woman filmmaker wouldn't have done that in India. Would you say that that's the big change?
Yeah, again, this woman filmmaker thing, I mean, I just like to, I kind of consider it a little bit of like reverse prejudice. Like, why are you making a big deal because I'm a woman? It's,
do you get called female journalist?
Yeah, I'm saying I agree with you.
Yeah. So, again, having said that, I mean, I'm here because, there are issues. I think that women have a really bad lot in this country, and that kind of somehow filters into the film industry at some point. But I think that in terms of its thinking, in terms of whether, I think the film industry is way more liberal than the rest of the country. And I think it's kind of a healthy place for women to work, which is why today you have 3 of us sitting here, I think that's the difference. I think it is progressive. And things like in terms of what Zoya and Anusha are speaking about, like women-centric projects, I don't think, a producer is a money guy. If he sees that he's going to make money making a woman-centric film, he'll do it. So the commerce is dictating what he does, you see? But that commerce is dictated, I think, by how the audience feels. And even in very, very liberated societies, actually, films made on men will probably get a bigger budget. You still have, I think, the male players in Wimbledon making more money than the female players. You see, so I think that it's not something that's happening only in the Indian film industry. I think it's happening world over. And it's, in fact, better in the Indian film industry than anywhere else, actually.
Do you, as a woman though, Zoya, do you feel that when you're making a film, and particularly your female characters, that you give them more depth, that you etch out the characters differently than perhaps a male director would?
Possibly. I can't say that I would do that maybe more than a male director would, because there are lots of male directors that I'm a fan of and I follow. And I think they've been... They're very careful with their female. The late Mr. Yash Chopra, he hasn't done a single film without a strong female character, and I'm talking since, he's since the 60s. There hasn't been a single film of his without a strong female character within the given parameters of Indian commercial cinema. So no, but yes, I do think I am aware of certain things, and I'll just give you an example. Like when I was doing Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, there's a character in the film which is the Spanish girl, Nuria. And she's somebody who's a friend of Leila, Katrina Kaif's, and she meets Imran and they hook up. And it was supposed to be a hookup, and like a 2-day hookup. And I wanted to treat it as a little love story because I'm aware of the psyche of the men in my country. And I feel a lot of times they feel if it's a Caucasian woman, she'll sleep with them because she's from a liberated country. So I'm very aware of that. I did not want it to come off as that okay, the only white character in the film is loose compared to our morality. So I was very aware of that, and I was very careful in how I treated that track, and I purposely made it into a little romance within 3 scenes so that it doesn't come off that way. Now, when we watched the film in focus group screenings and we decided that we need to cut length, a couple of people said you can cut the scene out with Imran and her in bed where he talks in Hindi about his father and, you know, them saying goodbye. And I said no. And when I told them this, they hadn't thought of it. They hadn't looked at it like that. So I think that comes from my being very aware of what it means and how to portray women. That's what I think. But having said that, I think there are also male directors that are pretty careful. You know, you can't just blanket.
But then when you express concern about the way women are projected and the differences between female and male actors in Bollywood today, what is your biggest concern? What is the biggest problem?
My biggest problem, I'll tell you, with the way women are perceived is I have a feeling that you know, men are not wooing women correctly. I watch a movie and I'm like, this hero is sexually harassing this woman. He is stalking her, he is beating her, he is physically abusing her, and she's falling in love.
She falls in love with him.
So that is my biggest problem, and I feel that puts out a very wrong signal to the Romeos on the street, and they feel that if they come and grab you, you're going to fall in love. It's not going to happen, brother. Yeah. So I feel that part that really bothers me. I mean, I don't have a problem with item songs. I don't have a problem with that stuff. But I have a problem with the intent of filmmakers, the intention behind the act. That is my problem.
You know, it's interesting you brought up item songs because, Anusha, that's another debate. I mean, whether item songs are a symbol of women being liberated or whether they just further objectify them. I don't remember seeing an item song in People Live, but would it be something that you would ever put in a film?
There, absolutely not. But the thing is that, you know,
you don't like them. You don't like the concept.
I absolutely love them.
You love them. Okay.
I do, and I want to know who's debating it, because we certainly aren't.
Well, I think it's something that people talk about.
Because no, the film professionals are not debating these. It is the others, the audience, let's say, or the media, which is deciding to debate whether they're filmmakers who are women or men, or they are deciding to make you know, item songs a topic of discussion. I think it's absolutely fine for a director to want an item number if they so wish, and if the film so requires. Why should there be a morality issue in it? I don't understand, and I have absolutely no problem.
Reema, what's your take on item number?
See, I actually believe that a mind that's directing is actually an androgynous mind, you know. And if I need to, sorry, but if I need to objectify a man, I will. If my story demands I objectify a woman, I will. That's what I do. I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah, that's
you see what I'm saying? I'm not an activist.
But it's the intent. You can watch, you can see a song and you know, is this vulgar, is this not? It's the intent behind why. Are you doing this to titillate? Are you doing this to entertain? It's very clear. You know when it's wrong and you know when it's not, you know? So, I mean,
and even if it is to titillate, I mean,
that's
a director's decision.
And I don't think it's male or female in terms of, I think there are good people, there are sensible people everywhere, and then there are really stupid people everywhere, you know? I mean, just to give you all a small example, my music director, Ram Sampath, I mean, he's a man, he's a really cool guy, and he received a script where, you know, the hero was, like Zoya was saying, harassing this woman, molesting her, doing all kinds of charo, and in the end, she falls in love with him. He was horrified, you know. And a woman executive producer sent the script to him. So he called her back and said, ma'am, I just want you to know, I have no work. I really need a film to do. It's not like I don't have time. But this is a really misogynistic script that you as a woman shouldn't be passing around. She puts the phone down. 5 minutes later, a man from the same company calls him and says, Ram साहब, आपको film नहीं करनी है तो मत करो. ये सब उल्टी सीधी बातें करने की क्या ज़रूरत है? You see, so I mean, if you went to half of Bollywood and asked them what does misogynist mean, they probably wouldn't even be able to tell you.
That's
So,
probably true. But is there a scene, okay, is there a script you've read that you just cringe and you say to yourself that, geez, I mean, would I really put my character through this? But you have to do it because the script demands it or that's what the market demands. I mean, do you ever cringe? Is there something you've cringed
No,
at?
I will see. If the story, there has to be a story first and foremost before a script can come in. So now, if the story demands a character, the story is about that character only, no? So if the story is about a character who is required to do certain things, then that's how it is. Either you don't choose the story itself, or you choose it fully. And once you've chosen it fully, then whatever that you need to do, you've got to do.
Zoya was talking about the sort of disparities between male and female actors and the kind of roles that women are getting. Now, Reema, do you think that someone like Vidya Balan has really changed that? Do you really think that there are other actresses who can do a dirty picture or do a kahani and that these will be huge, or are these one-offs?
Yeah, I think the significant change is that whether it's kahani or or dirty picture, both films made money. So other producers will not be so not open to, I think, a woman-centric film if they see the chance of making money in it. It really comes down to commerce, actually. I don't think that anybody's sitting...
But every decade has had films that came in, whether it was like Rekha's film, Khoon Bari Mang in the 80s, or, with like a female-oriented film that did make a lot of money, and then every other interview went into like, now do you think it's going to change? And no, it's not really going to change.
You don't think so?
I don't think any actress will ever command as much money as the male actors get, because they don't get that kind of audience. I am curious about the audience. They will not go in. I mean, Madhuri Dixit was humongous. But like as a solo, in a solo capacity, she doesn't pull in as much crowd as her male counterpart, as a Mr. Shah Rukh Khan or an Amir. That's just the way it is. And it's world over. It's world over. Tom Cruise is making more money than Nicole Kidman. And that's the way it is, because more people are going to watch them. More people are watching them, their stories. I don't know why, but that's true.
But what do you think are the worst stereotypes about women in Indian cinema? What would
as in the characters?
Yeah,
or the
in terms of the
filmmakers?
characters, not the filmmakers. What would you like to see break? The evil mother-in-law. Have we broken from that?
No, I see evil mother-in-law. No,
sister-in-law.
those are. I'm quite okay with the evilness.
I want to break the Indian girl.
Yeah.
Cocktail. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay.
That is a stereotype.
I saw
Good
Cocktail
Indian
the
girl.
other day on TV, and I was horrified. I mean, that was such a stereotype. I'm talking about that. I mean, he goes with the good Indian girl, the thing you talked about.
So
Yeah.
absolutely, we need to get rid of that. Plus, I think that we also need to get rid of the idea of the strong women that has recently come up in the recent cinema.
What do you mean?
Strong I am like a little doubtful about their strongness. So can we debate the strongness to decide beforehand whether the
Give me an example.
character, I won't.
Why? Why? You don't want to take names. You don't want to take names. Reema, what do you think represents a strong woman in Indian cinema today?
Represents a strong...
Or what's the worst stereotype according to you?
I mean, I think it's what Zoya is saying. You have two clear extremes. Either you have the good Indian girl, or then you have the hooker. And anybody who's not like the good Indian girl is a hooker. You know what I'm saying? So, frankly, all four of us are hookers right now. From someone's perspective.
Yeah.
That is what bothers me the most.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. I mean, I've been born, bred, educated, worked in this industry. I am as Indian as that chick in that soap on that show, and who represents Indian values. I am as Indian as that. And I want to see myself represented. I'm just sick of being told I have to dress like this and be like that, and then I'll get the boy. It's just retarded. That is what bothers me.
do you think that that's what's going to, the fact that you think like that and you're looking at your films and your characters also through that prism, do you think that that could at least change the kind of scripts you see and the way the characters are etched out? Because
I mean, all of us write our own material, so I think that will anyway reflect in our material, you know, it will. And I'm not saying that I won't have a character like that. And I would definitely write a character like that, and it would fit into that scheme of things, but it's not the way to be. You know what I mean? It can't be portrayed as this is it and this is the way to be, you know?
what is your definition then of a strong woman character? I mean, it's hard to say it in one sense. In your view, you're saying you have a problem with the way certain characters are projected as strong women today. Fine, don't name them. But what, according to you,
see, for me,
is a strong
see, if
woman?
you're looking at women, whatever characters, forget about their gender. If you're, as a filmmaker, looking at characters, you have to know their motivations, right? You have to know what are their backstories. Even whatever's there in the film is one thing. But for a filmmaker or a writer, there's so much more outside of it, no? That's how you create a character. So I find largely that women characters that we show in films absolutely have no backstories, have no history, sociology, nothing. They are just these aliens from somewhere, and they have been put there for various reasons. So you'll see reels upon reels of images where there'll be roads, for instance, loads of people, and you will not see women in there. So which kind of a world are we living in where, according to those filmmakers, the women are not even there on the roads? Then where are they? Because they exist, certainly, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Now, what about work? Like, for instance, if you see a movie where there is a particular profession which is being handled, where are the women? Because we do know that 50% of the world's work is being done by women, at least. I don't see that. So I think we need to go more seriously into what our women characters are doing, what is their back history, why are they what they are, which is what nobody really bothers with, I think.
Is there a more defined role for a woman character in your next film that's
Yes.
much awaited? You think
Yes.
it's not just a prop role?
No. No. But again, you know, I have nothing against a woman character just being a prop. Sometimes a story might need that, you know. But again, and I think that the people who write bad women characters will possibly be writing bad male characters too.
Yeah.
I don't think they're choosing to be unfair
They're
to
just
women.
bad
I think they're
writers.
bad
Bad
writers.
exactly.
You know, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But Zoya, does it make a difference? You know, the fact that, you know, none of you like to be identified as women filmmakers and in that reverse prejudice you talked about. But the fact that, you know, you're from a film family, that certainly was an advantage, wasn't it? I mean, you wouldn't have faced, maybe, I don't know if Anusha, you know, faced any sort of challenges in that being from a non-filmy family, but did it make it easier for you?
No, yes and no. There are definitely perks from being from the fraternity. I have my foot in the door. You know, you grow up with everyone around. The entire generation has grown up going to each other's birthday parties. So if you want to meet an actor, you will, and you can call up uncle and auntie, and you can get your foot in the door. But having said that, that's
Yeah,
it.
I don't think that's entirely true.
Yeah.
Because I finally made my first film before you, Zo.
Exactly.
And I'm from nowhere. My dad has a farm in SM, you know.
Yeah. But
so,
having said that, no one's going to do anything for you. And they shouldn't. You know, I don't think I had a problem making my first film, and it took 6 or 7 years, and I don't think it had anything to do with my gender or who I was or what I wasn't. It had to do with what I wanted to make. You know, I don't think people got it. I don't think people thought it was viable, whatever they thought. But that was the problem with it, and it took that long to be made. But there is access, and there are perks, and at the same time, no one's going to do anything for you. So.
You know, I have a friend that actually made a crass joke that, you know, male filmmakers have the casting couch. What do female filmmakers have?
A casting couch?
They have. What else? Good answer. Good answer. Reema, according to you, I mean, let's take names here. Who do you think is our finest actress today in Hindi
He's
cinema?
our finest actress. Well,
Tough one.
well, not for now, but maybe when I go back to Bombay, it'll be bad. But, you know, I think
Or what's a role, or what's a particular role?
I would say Rani Mukherjee, actually.
Okay.
I would. She's, I've just worked with her. I think she's fantastic. She can communicate anything you ask her to. And I mean, she's got this strange quality that many actors don't have. Somehow being in the scene, she starts improving everybody else's performance, you know. I don't know how she does it, but I think she has that kind of an effect, you know, on frame.
Zoya,
So,
who
I like Rani a lot. I'm really looking forward to working with her. But having said that, there are many. I like Tabu. I like Kareena. I think Priyanka is a good actor. I like Anushka Sharma. I like Vidya Balan.
Pariniti,
Pretty much everybody.
Pariniti Chopra. Yeah, Pariniti is very exciting. That there are many good actresses.
Do you find them sort of holding their own with their male co-stars in terms of the way they assert themselves as actresses? Because like you said, it is a very unequal industry at the end of the day in the way men and women are perceived. But do you see them, you know, as go-getters in that sense?
As what? Sorry.
As go-getters, are they much more assertive even with their male co-stars and what they want and the kinds of scenes that they want, the kind of scripts that they want?
No, I think that's a personality thing. I mean, some people are just pushy and some people are just not. So, I mean, it's not like all of them are like that. I mean, it's a personality thing. You know, some are shy, some are not, some are pushy, some are aggressive, some are violent. I mean,
Some are violent.
yeah.
Anusha, as we wrap this up, what is your next project about? I believe it's something rather interesting on Amitav Ghosh's book. It's an, you know, tell us a little bit about that. I'll ask all of you about your next projects before we wrap.
It's based, I'm trying to adapt The Sea of Poppies, and for the time being, I would like to call it a theme. And
Nice
well,
title.
it's in the scripting stages. We've done a second draft, so we're hoping that we'll be able to at least get a fourth draft in, and then it'll be decent enough to match the book somehow. And we're writing, basically, working very hard at
Reema,
that.
you're excited. When's the movie coming out? Soon.
30th November.
So you're nervous right now? No.
I've worked far too hard to be nervous. I'm just excited.
And Zoya, what are you working on?
I am finishing a short film it's a fiction piece for 100 years of Indian cinema. It's part of an omnibus, me and 3 other filmmakers. And then I'm writing my script for my next film.
Okay. Well, here's to more power to all of you. Not because you're women, but because you're good filmmakers. Let me just add that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you get up?
I know.
जय काली कल्याणी खरपदारिणि गिरिजा घनश्याम चंडिका छत्रधारिणि गिरिजा जय काली जय काली जय काली
I think it is my bounden duty and I must endure.